So across this city's budget, we have to find a funding program that makes it possible to afford these things. At the same time, we're finding the efficiencies.
Given all the things that we know about the police budget and what you just said, isn't it disingenuous of the mayor to come out and say, next year you're going to see a real difference? No, we're not.
Well, for starters, what is right now going on are the remainder pieces that we're going through discussions right now, committed to have a solution for by the end of this year with respect to how often we have one officer in a car, so the two officers could be out there on a bike. How often do we look at restructuring shifts? Well, we look at it about every couple of years when people are upset about the police budget, but now it has actual recommendations for how you would address a change in shifts in a KPMG report, and those are things that we can still sit down in the middle of a contract and still, with the cooperation of the association, address those in a way that could make a major change to the way we put police officers on the ground to fight crime and build safe communities.
So you're still saying best case scenario in 2017 would be like a $15 million reduction?
I'm saying that would be a great result. That would be a great result. It's important to remember something. The police budget is big. I'm not defending the fact that policing has become so expensive in across this nation, because that's the case. Across Canada, this same conversation is going on. But it is also true that today we are debating a budget that shows the wage increase of police, it shows the wage increase of TTC employees, and it does not show the wage increase that will be built into every single budget in the city's budget. Works, parks, all the rest of them. Their wage increases have not been shown in the budget here. So in that respect, the police budget isn't an outlier. It's just actually showing you what they're going to pay in a wage increase. They did make their cuts. They made $12 million worth of efficiencies. Their increase is lower than their wage increase by a few $1 million. That won't be able to be said about the Parks and Recreation budget when we're done doing the QP contract and we actually show in their budget what they're paying in a wage increase.
They were chanting shelter, not guns. Do you agree with that?
I actually believe that we do need to address the shelter system. The problem that we have in the shelter system right now, and this dates back to decisions taken during the last term under Mayor Ford, that when you say a shelter system has to be 90% occupied across the board before you can even look at building another space, what you're saying is in the center part of the city and in some of the key shelters, you're actually going to be at 100 and 110% occupancy with a few empty beds in the outlying church shelters. That's not sustainable. It's not a tenable situation for those who desperately need shelter for however long. And for some, it's just a matter of there not being affordable rent and them ending up in a shelter for a few weeks or a month at a time. But if they're lying under a table to receive that shelter, something's got to give.
But why do we have shelter spaces that supposedly don't exist? And OCAP is right that there is a serious problem with shelter spaces existing. But why is it that we're finding miraculously housing for a whole bunch of refugees when we don't have housing for the people who actually need them, who have been waiting for 15, 20 years?
I'm not going to speak to the Syrian refugee effort. I'm not going to speak to that. I agree with the fact that we have an inadequacy of shelters, but I'm not going to pit one homeless person against another.
Thanks for that, Frank. Thanks.